Welcome inside our Flames Central.
Especially the powered
by
That's
Alcova
right.
Mortgage. I don't know who's the host here. These are our studios. This is our panel here.
Yeah.
Matt Warner, Joe Yock, Emily Austin. We have a lot to discuss, but let's start on the top. Javian Lofton's touchdown grab.
Oh,
yeah.
This is possibly the best catch of the year.
Well, a lot of people were saying that. It was #1 on SportsCenter.
Right.
Drew over 1 million views, I know, on Twitter, just from Liberty's account. Yeah, people are like
million?
over 1 million, and people saying, "Oh, this is the catch of the year, the leader in the right now at this point of the season." You're a receiver, Joe.
Yeah.
How hard? Like you see it, and obviously the announcers there, ODU, didn't get all that fired up about it, but like you, when you see it, like
Little jab. Little
I know
jab.
you were known for your devastating downfield blocking as a receiver, but take me to how difficult is the catch that he made?
That was a great catch. Now, I will say this from a guy who played many years ago.
Yes.
Right? The advantage.
How many years ago?
Uh-oh, here we go.
Yeah.
He's gonna like
back when I
these
walked,
kids
back
nowadays.
when I walked to school uphill both ways, right?
In the snow.
In the snow, yes. It was the advantage they do have is the gloves they have now are fantastic, right? The way they stick. But the athletic ability for him the way he turned his hand over, that was, I think, what grabbed everybody's attention. It was to be able to see it, your body turn, and then reach your hand over and just stab it like that was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, there was no. You got to get a hand on it, and then you kind of readjust.
Right.
Or it was like stunk. Like you just stuck it right there.
And it was one of those things too, as a receiver. Like I've had some of those where you jump up and sort of catch it with a point like that. But the stars have to align perfectly the way the ball's coming in for you to be able to get it like that.
Yeah.
The way that he got it on the backside like that. That ball has to be coming at the right angle perfectly, hit your hand at the right way. And then most importantly, you have to have the athleticism to be able to pull it off. And that's exactly what he did.
This is the still shot. I don't know if you can see.
Your phone.
Definitely can if you're listening to it on
you can.
Spotify.
You can see the still shot of what they're talking about. You see that? There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, you can
This
see,
is why you need to watch this on
that.
YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, so
put it on the Google.
I don't know who took this picture, but
Joel
this
Coleman
is
actually got that
legitimately
photo.
the best. The best angle of that catch.
And his reaction was great too. Because like a lot of times, and maybe that's why the announcers were a little stunned.
Oh, yeah.
Because like he caught it, he kind of just like did a little stare down, maybe said a word or two, I don't know. But a little stare down, and that was it. Like some guys catch that and they're running around, and they're stuck. Like he was just kind of like
it had proper swag.
Absolutely.
Alan York had a good call on it.
He did.
Actually, he was mic'd up and he invited that defender to Thanksgiving dinner. So that was really,
is that what he said?
That's what he said.
Okay.
No, so great catch. Coach Freeze kind of downplayed it in his press conference today that this doesn't help with like the hype on Liberty. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe that's just, I don't know, in our eyes, like getting Liberty. Anytime Liberty's name is out there in the #1 play on SportsCenter, I think that's going to help. But it's just such a big moment for him.
And I think for Freeze, it's like you can't draw a direct line, right?
Yeah.
From like that video went viral. We got this 5-star. Like it's not like there's a direct line. So I think for him, that's what he's saying. But yeah, obviously just the attention that you get from, making a play like that. Everybody, it was on, SportsCenter was tweeting it out. It was everywhere. Like that's big. That is big for the program.
Can I bring Javian back down?
Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh, no negativity.
It's a classic coach.
As classic coach, receiver coach, right? Former receiver coach.
Yeah.
Catch the ball in the flat. I mean, the ball hits you in the hands. Catch the ball.
Okay, we're not negative around here.
Yeah.
I will
gotta bring it down a little bit. You guys got 1 million views. Guaranteed. Freeze is telling
Stay
the same
humbled.
thing.
So a cool segment that we started, a cool segment that we started and asked a bunch of the players before the season is My Moment. You've probably seen a couple of them that we've produced and put out on social media. What's ironic is Javian Lofton's My Moment is coming out on social media this week. So be on the lookout for that. But I have a little feeling that his moment might change.
Might be #2. The one that we put out might be #2 now.
After this.
But good for him. Remember, we've talked about it. Battled injuries, and you keep hearing this buzz in camp. Oh, Javian Lofton's looking good. This guy could be a playmaker, and then he suffered an injury, and you never really got to see who he was as a receiver. Maybe we're seeing it now.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to remind you, Flames fantasy update. I know you guys were just completely kept in the dark.
I know.
You know, like the dark about what that update was last week. It's because I think I scored like 53 points, and Matt just didn't give me the update. So it wasn't me forgetting. So we will get to that at the end of the show. I'm really excited to hear about what
my
the
battery's
updates
about
are.
to run out, so
All
I may
right,
not
so
be
we're
able to
gonna
give
get
you
to
an
it.
update.
Offense had a season best 478 yards. But let's focus in on the run game. Day Hunter with the hat trick, 3 touchdowns. Shedro Lewis had a great game as well. How good is this LU run game, and where in the world would Liberty football be without Day Hunter?
Well, they'd be hurting right now. They would be hurting, and especially with TJ Green still not playing yet, and he's been dressed now. I think it's 3 straight weeks, so they're still trying to figure out kind of when to get him back in there. But Day Hunter is just a machine, man. Like, and it's not just his ability to run the ball. He's shown you he can catch it out of the backfield. He finishes runs. Like, how many times does he get caught for a loss? Like, you can hardly think of any.
Or that you think he's going to be tackled, and then he just picks up another 5 or 6 yards.
So you have 2 guys go over 100 yards in the game. That kind of takes you back. Remember Malik Willis's first year, so that was 2 years ago, where Liberty really, as much as you talk about Malik and what he did, a lot of what they did and their success was on the ground. They were running the ball effectively, and you even said, I'll give you credit, Joe, last week you said it's time for Liberty to decide right now at the quarterback situation what it is. Who do you want to be? Like, who do you want to be? Where are you going to find the yards? And you said maybe it's time to lean on that run game a little bit more. They did, and you have 2 explosive guys that can take it to the house at any point. And, I mean, good luck.
And Yak Talk today is, and if you want to talk to Joe Yak, it's hard to get a hold of him. You know, this guy, Alcova Mortgage, I call, I text.
You can text.
How do you get a hold of him? If you want to buy a home and you're looking to buy, this is getting early. Because if the Yak Talk is getting early.
Hey, just keep it simple. Go to the Google machine.
Okay.
Just go to the Google machine. Joe Yak, Jauch with an H, Jauch. And just put on the Google, take you right to the website, and you're off.
Can I say again?
It's almost too easy.
During that Akron game, literally, what are we, 15 minutes before kick?
Yeah.
Joe's in the corner helping somebody out.
Yeah.
You know, like, for real. Like, and I'm like, I'm a little concerned. Like, we got a game to prepare for here.
But someone got a good mortgage.
But
that's
you
all
know
that
what?
matters.
He doesn't. He's worried about others. That's the way he is.
It's too easy.
Let's focus back in on our Flames football talk. Okay, this run game, what stood out in the film to you for your Yak Talk this week?
I got a good chance to go back and watch the inside copy of the game, and my shout out's going to go first and foremost to Coach K, which I like
Coach
to refer to as
Klonakis,
Coach Klonakis, which I like to refer to him as the real Coach K.
That's right.
I'm not a big fan. Not that guy. Not that other the other guy. Right. The real Coach K has got this offensive line playing very well. You start going back and you look at some of the runs. I'm with you. Like, when you can take a line that knows, first of all, they know who to block.
Yeah.
That's the battle number 1. All right. Number 2 is what they're starting to do is they're starting to pick up the angles in their blocking. So you know who to block. Now you got to figure out the angles on how to block people. And that's where they've done a real good job. The run that Day had for the touchdown, well, Day himself, to be able to have the combination. Like, when you're running back, there's a lot of different pieces of the puzzle that have to come together. You have to have speed. You have to have toughness for all these things to come together. But Day's vision, 1, his patience, 2, and then his ability to make something out of nothing and bounce outside and gain yards is really the difference. But I'll tell you what, the one run where Day broke it up, I think it was his first touchdown, right? There was the center and the guard did a great job on a chip block. At the double team, the linebacker played it terrible. He went the wrong way. The center is able to chip here, but then the big man, 73. Say that name again for me.
Xavier Gadlin.
Xavier Gadlin. Come here, Matt Warner. Come here. Get up here.
Oh my gosh.
Get up here, Matt.
All right.
It's your back. Emily, get right there. Get right there. Get over here.
I am getting up.
It's right. You're Day Hunter.
Yeah, our director's having a heart
And
attack
here,
with us moving around.
and he got, come at me. Come at me, guy.
yeah.
Here. But then they move their hips. They move their hips and feet.
Am I
Turn
going
here.
this way?
And you're going right there.
I'm going this way.
And it all comes into, right here, Matt. It all comes into here. And don't get bent over like this. Get that flat back. And then move those hips like that. Right there. And boom. Day's off and running. And that goes back to Gadlin right there.
Yeah.
And that old line blocking.
Yeah.
And that gets me fired up.
I could see that.
I
could see that.
You're not going to get this anywhere else.
Coach K, that one's for you. Good job. You got them boys playing, and I love it.
I love his energy.
Love it.
If you go to practice, Coach K is like fired up. His energy
he's an old school
is
guy.
unmatched.
He's old school.
And this is with Bruce Johnson on the team,
Listen,
and his energy is like awesome.
Listen to me. You know when I knew I liked him?
What's
I went
that?
to practice. He wears the old school bikey shorts. I'm talking with the two buttons right there
Yeah,
and
I
the
know
thing,
what
the
you're
old,
talking-
the old coach's
yeah,
shorts.
I know those. Yeah,
That guy can coach.
Yeah.
And it's showing up on the field.
it sure is.
All right, well.
That's all
Just
I got,
in
that's
case
all
you
I
need
gotta
any
say about
more.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're
You probably
going
have
to
a pair
get
of
to a
those in your
Charlie Brewer
dresser drawer
update.
somewhere, don't you? A pair of those shorts?
Yeah.
I bet you do. Yeah.
Green ones.
Please do. It is what it is. Charlie Brewer update in just a moment. But first, CJ Yarbrough, he had
94 yards.
94 yards.
4 catches and a touch.
Had a touchdown. Do you think, he did take, what was that, a full season off away from the game. We'll have a story coming out on social media on
This
him
week, all about
this
that. Yeah.
week.
You guys'
But
stories are really good.
Appreciate
Just as a
that,
show. You get Alcova Mortgage shout outs all the time. I'm telling you what, I'm giving you guys shout outs. These stories are good. I
Thanks,
really
Joe.
enjoy them.
Appreciate that.
that is the one thing about Liberty, and I know I work here, so I'm a little biased, but the resources here are just unmatched. Like, they're not just like, oh, go do a story on someone. They're like, what do you need to tell this like athlete or coach's story in order for it to be top of the line, Emmy award winning worthy?
Yes, and
like,
I'm gonna tell you something else.
Makes our jobs like a lot easier.
I'll tell you something else right now. And here's awesome. I love you to death. But when Matt Warner goes into story voice, I mean, I get a little bit emotional. I get a little bit choked
Appreciate
up.
that, Joe.
Cold wintry
does.
night.
Yeah.
It was a cold
Was
wintry
it,
night in Western
yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah. What is the old NFL? The autumn wind is upon
The autumn wind is upon us.
Well,
In Green Bay,
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
The Alcova
frozen
Mortgage
tundra.
Train,
Yeah.
Flame
Yeah.
Central Podcast has completely
Yeah.
gone off the tracks
Yeah.
today.
I mean,
we have
I
got
get
to
a little
get
bit
this.
choked
That's
up.
good.
when it
He
starts
does
out.
That's what
have
I'm going for.
this very intense
Yeah.
He does.
news
It's very
voice.
intense.
Appreciate
You
that.
never know
I love it.
what could happen
Yeah,
next.
that's pretty good.
I-
Powered by.
Yeah.
Alcova Mortgage.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
here we go. CJ Yarbrough,
Yes.
was this his best game
Oh, no doubt.
back?
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny because we're doing the story with him that comes out this week. We had a couple of shots with him last week, and I was like, "This is the week. You're getting in the end zone. I feel it."
Matt Warner.
And I did
All
not
of it.
see it going that way. Pinballing off a short
That-
interception that
Yeah.
pinballed. But hey, heads up, play by him. He stayed in the game, made the play, finished it. But also, the 4 catches, 94 yards. Hugh Freeze said today, because remember, it wasn't like a guy who was injured, who was still around the program for a year
Yeah.
and still sitting in film and doing some type of football activity. He walked away from the game. And the story that we share this week, I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But he was in the ROTC. He wasn't doing football-related anything.
Yeah.
And so jumping back into it, as talented as he is, Coach Freeze said, we're just now starting to see him get it going. He's just now feeling comfortable and getting his feet underneath him. And that's scary because we know when he's been healthy in his career and he's fought some injuries, he is a big target. He's really athletic. And, I mean, you saw in this game, what he can do. And he's just another one of those. You got the quick guy in a DeMario. Having that big target that you can throw one up to is really valuable.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does the rest of the season and wait until you see this story on social media. Really, really neat story by him and what he's doing, not necessarily football-wise with some
He's
of
a
his
really mature kid.
players. Yeah, definitely way more mature than any of us were
Right now.
at his right now.
Than any of us are right now.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Charlie Brewer update is
Here
he's
we go.
getting his pins out, same timeline
Yeah.
as actually your son,
Yeah.
Reese.
My
Yeah.
9-year-old son, Reese.
That story's kind of slipping under the radar.
That
Reese,
story's gone
yeah.
under the radar. It hasn't got a lot of national attention.
Charlie Brewer's gotten all the focus.
We had a zip line injury, but
Yeah.
him and Charlie Brewer on the same timeline. So I'm watching Reese's rehab right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
The pins are out about the same time.
Yeah.
And I think it's just around the corner.
Well, this is a very different injury. Reese,
right.
Okay, so
Reese had an elbow.
Yeah.
So
Little
I'm
bit.
sorry, Coach Freeze, and I don't think that this was very serious in his press conference today, but he basically said Charlie wants to play this
He
weekend.
says he's begging to get out there. And
No,
you'd be
no.
and you won't. But
You won't.
if he
No.
wasn't, you'd also be a little bit like you're glad that he is.
But this is a very good sign.
Yeah.
My question to you two is does this mean that the quarterback job is still up for grabs since they've been shuffling around these three other guys?
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. And we had talked about you had thought okay, let's say Caden stayed healthy and he was playing well.
Right.
Let's say you win the next couple, you go into BYU 6-1, and then Charlie Brewer is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you'd say, boy, we're winning. Salter's playing great, and he's the future. So let's get him this. Let's put him out there and let him go through this and let him get that experience. But I think Freeze has had enough frustration just with like the shuffling of quarterbacks and who understands what parts of the offense. And that I think when Brewer's right, I think Freeze is going to get him in there and say, you carry us the rest of the way or as far as you can.
Especially with that BYU. And then they have a bye. And then Arkansas.
And there's also no rule that says you can't do what you've done all along, which is if it's not working, you say, guess what, Caden? Here we go. Get a better athlete out there and let him run around a little bit.
So I want to ask you that, and I want you to make your point, but how difficult is it for a play caller like Coach Freeze to juggle around 3, potentially 4 different quarterbacks in one ball game?
Yeah. You know what I think? I hear what Matt's saying right there, but I'm starting to get the vibe. This is the vibe I'm getting, that Coach Freeze is a smart offensive man, right? And he knows what he's doing. And I think it's almost getting to the point now where you have to accept that that's what it's going to be. Like the quarterback position in 2022 at Liberty is a position that is up in the air.
Yeah.
So what do you do with that? Well, the first thing you do with it is you run the football really well.
Well,
and then you check. And then you don't put yourself in a position where you feel as if you have to throw the ball in order to win games. Then the second thing you do with it, if it is going to be like that, and it is what it is, then you try to turn that into a really positive thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he's starting to figure out, and we're starting to do is say, okay, Caden Salter brings, he may drive him crazy and not be exactly what he wants him to be, but he brings a lot of really good things to the table. Jonathan Bennett brings a different set of skill set. Nate Hampton brings something. Charlie Brewer, when he comes back. So guess what? It just sort of is what it is right now. And when you can run the football really well, then you have the luxury to be more adaptive at the quarterback position.
Well, people always talk about when describing defenses, they're multiple. Nobody wants to say that when describing the quarterback position, but that's what the Flames are. And to your point, Joe, like, no defensive coordinator wants to have to game plan for 4 guys.
And very different guys, right?
But if you pick your spots, and then you can kind of get people in where, Nate Hampton, the thoroughbred package, they call it with him, right? We've just seen him run it. Well, we know he can throw the football, and so you start getting defenses to kind of play into a tendency they've seen on film. Well, then suddenly here you allow him to do something that maybe he hasn't shown yet this season, and it's a lot to prepare for.
And once again, this goes back to the offensive line playing well. When the offensive line plays well, and they know who to block, then you can run the football. It gives you the luxury of being able to do other things at the quarterback position.
Because think about last year. You had one of the best quarterbacks in the country, but he was running for his life. This year, you have 3 guys that have not had much experience. But they've got a chance because, as you said, the offensive line has been that much better. Like, you flip those where the offensive line with this group, it wouldn't be 4-1 right now.
Right.
But huge improvement.
Yeah, no doubt.
So Demario Douglas, only 13 yards in this game. Is this because of the run game success and the shuffling at quarterback that there's not that connection, or was this just Demario Douglas just wasn't there this game?
I mean, from going back and watching the film, he didn't really separate a lot. Now, he had a chance if he would have had the deep ball. If that ball's thrown inside to him early in the game, if that ball's thrown inside to him, he had some separation. It got thrown to the outside. He didn't have a chance at it. So it might be a different story if you get a good pass there.
There was also the sack at the end of the first half. Freeze had said if the line had held up better, Demario was going to come open, and he thought Salter could have hit him there. So part of it's just the situation and how it worked itself out. I'm not worried.
There's a spotlight on Demario too. For
I'm
a
not
lot
worried.
Of these
and again, this speaks to the depth. We talk about it at quarterback. We talk about running back. It talks about the depth at receiver, that you got guys like C.J. Yarbrough, Javian Lofton, even Trayon Sibley stepping up and making plays when you don't have Snead or when Demario isn't, getting 5 or 6 catches a game.
Demaro's he's gonna have a great season. He is who he is. He's a really good football
and he
player.
Impacts the game. He's one of those where just being on the field. Because like a defense has to focus on him. They know he's a game breaker.
All right, let's go to the other side of the ball, the defense for the Flames. Who is your emerging star on the Flames defense?
I mean, he's a full-fledged emerging star, Rocket Rahimi. I mean, this guy has got, when you start looking at a safety, what do you want from a safety, from a skill set? He's got ball skills. Most importantly, He's tougher than nails. He'll come up and hit you.
He sure will.
And then
Legally or not.
I mean,
He's a rock.
One of those was overturned.
That's right.
And then athletically, I mean, you look at him, the way that he, the play that he made Wake Forest when he came off the hash, the play on the tip ball that he made for the interception, and then the run after the interception, he saw a nice little wiggle, a little athleticism there. So this guy right now has everything you want in a safety. He is an emerging star.
Wait, he was on the roster last year.
Yeah.
Where was he a transfer?
Yeah, JUCO guy.
JUCO,
from West Coast. And I remember Jack Curtis saying last year, before we really had seen any of this, he was like, this kid is a
legit.
star.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, okay. Because again, he's not a guy that you look at him. You have some of those guys that just physically, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like you're like, that guy. Like, he doesn't jump out to you that way, but man, that way he plays, and you talk about just the ground he covers, and it seems like he's always in the right spot.
I mean, he's had 2 picks where he's come off the opposite hash.
Yeah. And he's going to come up. He's going to come up to
and then
not just tackle you. He's coming up.
And then you look at the UAB game. That was a game. That was maybe the play of the game. They're going in for a touchdown, and he fills that hole. Yeah. And I think it was him and Mike Smith or somebody, the other backer, but they struck that dude balls out. Yeah. So I mean, he's definitely an emerging star.
And when you talk about like, oh, why are the Flames having so much more success turning people over this year? Like, he's got to be at the top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
how many picks does he have now? Is it 3?
I know it's 3 straight games.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
So let's get an overall grade for this defense in this game.
B- maybe.
Okay.
I felt like this was as poor as they've tackled going back to the Southern Miss game. They just had a hard time. And also credit Old Dominion. Like, their running back was a pretty good little player.
Mm-hmm.
They've got
Jennings, that receiver,
is really good. Their quarterback stood in there and made some tough throws. So, like, they aren't a bad offense. That's a solid team. But I feel like the defense didn't play up to the standard that we've seen the last few weeks.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, defensively for Liberty is like they've done a great job this year, and they've played really, really well. I mean, when you get into the details of where they fall maybe a little bit short later in games, the UAB game, they took over late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Wake Forest game, I think that was one of the reasons why you saw them try to go for 2. That Wake went 5 plays, 71 yards at the end. You could start seeing them tire.
Yeah.
And then you started to see that a little bit in this game also. So you clean up that and play especially as you get some tougher games here down the stretch. You clean up that and you can play really, really well late in games. Their defense is nothing.
There's no hole.
There's no holes. Like,
defense.
you don't look and like, man, they're just D-line, linebackers, safeties, corners. You don't look at anywhere positionally. Maybe some depth on the D-line they could use, but everybody needs more depth on the D-line. But overall, Liberty's defense has been outstanding this year.
Okay, Flames fantasy update in just a moment. Bold predictions as well. Yeah. Coach Freeze made a good point. It's a lot easier cleaning up these little issues at 4-1 with a 4-1 record rather than a 1-4 record.
It's a lot more fun.
Yeah, a lot more fun. But let's look ahead to UMass, the next game on the schedule for the Flames on the road. Joe, you look like you're biting your tongue right now that you want to say something.
No, don't do it.
Oh, this is already a victory for the Flames.
Don't do it.
Obviously, I guess I could say obviously the Flames are the favorite.
Heavy favorites.
The heavy favorite.
And I want to say the line was around 28 is what it opened at.
Okay, so this and I haven't gotten too much into the UMass roster and coaching staff, but could this be another Akron situation, or are we like past that, learned our lesson? This is like a
no. And the Akron situation, I mean, just the quarterback situation was different too. Hopefully, Salter is good enough to at least play some.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this:
is this your Matt Minute?
I mean, sure. Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Let's do it.
This is a UMass team that plays pretty good defense. And they really struggled to score the football. They led until midway through the third quarter against Eastern Michigan this past week, ended up losing 20-13. But Coach Freeze, like, this defense is really good. And he said what they basically want you to do is force you to have to pass the ball. He's like, they're always bringing an extra man down. They're always having more guys in the box than you can block. They're just daring you to throw the football. And that's not a bad strategy. We talk about Liberty running on, leaning on that run game. That's a pretty good strategy if you're facing the Flames right now. So it'll be interesting to see how Liberty fares on that side of the ball. In terms of offensively, here's this number, especially this day and age, blows me away. UMass on the year, they've attempted 91 passes. they've rushed it 249 times.
Ooh.
Like
Wow.
that's you don't see that unless it's Josh Aldridge said it's more like you're defending an option team almost. So yeah, that will be interesting to see how we can slow down that run game of theirs. But they have struggled certainly offensively.
So what is the importance of Salter being available? Because he is nursing this injury. Do we just rest Salter and go with JB and let JB do work?
Well, I mean, just like Matt said right there, if they're going to stack the box and you're going to try to cover the guys that Liberty has at receiver position, this is going to be a game of explosive plays.
Okay.
And that's where they're going to score a ton of points. Is that okay? If this is what you want to do, then you're going to have to cover Demario Douglas. You're going to have to cover for CJ Yarbrough.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to cover Javian Lofton. You just go down the list,
Yeah.
and then you're giving clarity to Ken Austin and to Hugh Freeze on, okay, how can we design for home run balls?
Yeah.
And that's really if that's what they want to do, that's what this is going to turn into. And I'll tell you right now, I like Liberty's chances if it turns into that game.
Yeah, and just to give you a little context, they're 1-4. They lost by 32 to Tulane, 45 to Toledo. They beat Stony Brook. They lost 28-0 to Temple and 20-13 against Eastern Michigan. So that's been their best game outside of the Stony Brook. But they haven't been in a lot of ball games. So Liberty open as a 26-point favorite. This should be one that Liberty can go in and kind of impose their will.
Wow, and then
Liberty. This could be a Yacht Talk lock of the week. It has potential.
Oh, it has potential.
Liberty only 2 wins away from being bowl eligible. So that's huge. Getting the, obviously, Southern Miss, the UAB, and the
Old Dominion.
Old Dominion game out of the way and getting all victories in those games is huge moving forward with the second half of this schedule.
Just think if the Philly special would have worked.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay.
But now we've seen what Wake Forest has done in those 2 weeks.
After what Wake Forest
can
did,
you imagine?
Just think if the Philly special would have actually worked.
I know. Flames fantasy update.
Okay.
Wait, real quick. Is this the best? Is Liberty the best team in Virginia?
Oh, I haven't seen JMU play, but Virginia, Virginia Tech,
oof.
You
saw them in person.
Saw them in person. Don't know anything about Richmond, but I guess they're. Don't know anything about William Mary. They're okay, right? So that leaves JMU.
Yeah.
Right, Liberty. Is there anybody else?
Well, Dominion. Then we just saw
Dominion.
Just played itself out.
They're 3 strikes. I mean, if this is Family Feud, we'd have to. We'd be coming for the steal right now.
Yeah.
All right, so Liberty's coming down the steal. If we're going to Family Feud this, let's go ahead and Family Feud it. With Liberty coming over the steal, I'm going to go with Steve. That's his name. Steve Harvey. Yeah. Steve, I'm going to go with Liberty.
Yeah.
Ooh,
and the number one answer, ding, ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding, is yes. Liberty is the best team in the state of Virginia.
The
right now.
crazy thing is, and we talk about all the quarterback stuff, we don't really know what the ceiling is for this team with Charlie Brewer. We have no idea.
Yeah, what if Charlie comes back and
it
lights
could
it
be
up?
what we've seen, like this is being just a really good team. Maybe it's even more than we expected.
I know.
I don't know. We're gonna find out.
Shout out to the quarterbacks though.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to the quarterbacks. Shout out to Caden Salter, Jonathan Bennett, Nate Hampton. Shout out to these guys because they've done it ain't been perfect, but what Caden Salter did at Wake Forest was phenomenal. At Southern Miss. What Nate Hampton did to come in at Akron. I'm sorry, Akron, and to have that final drive when it was all on the line.
Yeah.
And that quarterback's job is to get your offense in the end zone.
That room is really confident.
He got him in the end zone.
Well, and I think that there's still some competition there. Like everyone is like, hey, this still could be my job. Having that.
I think that's coming.
I want to see Nate Hampton throw the ball.
That's got to be coming. You get a little you fake quarterback draw, step back, take a shot over the top.
He can toss it.
Yeah.
Offensive coordinator might be their next roles, but right now we
now.
want to just
Flame
give
Central
shout outs
podcast.
to those quarterbacks, and we want to give a shout out to Alcova Mortgage for sponsoring our Flame Central podcast. Okay, bold predictions.
Do you want the
Flames fantasy update?
You keep forgetting. Don't blame me for this. You keep
Flames
forgetting.
fantasy update. You know it's typical fantasy.
Emily surged in front last week. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but she had a huge week. Day Hunter has been carrying her. This is my game. Day Hunter gave you over 37 points by himself this week. So you scored 47 points. You're up to 206.3 on the year. Joe scored 26 points. You were led by CJ Yarbrough, who had a great game. You're up to 130.2. So you're back about 76 points. And then I had a good game from Shedro. I had 33 points on the week. I'm at 162. So right now, Emily's like 40 2 points, 44 points ahead.
Football left.
A lot of football left.
A lot of football.
Wait,
left.
I'm wait.
You're over 200 points.
Who's on my team?
Day, basically, is all you need to know.
Oh,
Yeah.
Day-Day's
Day-Day.
on my team? Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I am sure about that.
But you don't
even remember. This is the worst.
This is
I
the
just
worst
know about-
fantasy
This
league.
is the worst.
There's no managing of rosters on
No,
this.
this is
Okay.
like when
There's
you're
no
this
managing
is like
of
when your
rosters.
wife picks the NCAA tournament based on colors and then beats you. And she's like, oh, who did I pick to win it all? Oh, yeah, no.
Do not compare me to
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I am not picking on colors. I just thought that Day-Day was on Joe's team.
Joe took
That's why I
DeMario
was-
number 1.
Oh,
You took
that's
Day-Day
right.
number
That's
2.
right. That's right. Okay. Bold predictions. I'll start it off. Demario Douglas is
Can I
going to.
update you on last week?
Oh yes.
Yeah, can we get up
So
there?
last
Sorry,
week,
we're all
Emily's
over the
on.
place.
She's staying hot right now. Last week, you predicted 3 touchdowns for Day-Day. Once again,
What?
doesn't even remember.
Because you
Has
take
no
the sheet.
idea. Doesn't even recall what
you
she
take
says.
the sheet and I forget.
She says so much she can't keep track of
Joe's
it all.
blank.
Joe, I couldn't
Like his
find.
brain
I
right
couldn't
now.
find
Look
what
at
he
him.
predicted.
What are you kidding me? I had a great prediction.
As you look at the
You-
stats. Yeah.
You use the same prediction every week and you
I did
still
not.
don't remember.
I predicted
Yeah.
that C.J. Arborough would go for 95 yards or more, between 90 and 95 yards,
Right.
and have a touchdown.
Yeah. I had Jedro
Too
Lewis,
easy.
50-yard
Too
touchdown run. He had a 40-yard run.
Ooh, okay.
So we're in the ballpark.
That's close.
Yeah.
All right, bold predictions this week. I'm going with Demario Douglas is going to score 3 touchdowns. One of those touchdowns will be on special teams.
Oh, I got a bold prediction.
Whoa.
You
Okay.
ready to go in, Matt?
Yeah.
Next, or you want me to go?
Go for it, Joe.
All right. See, my predictions are bold. Now write this down.
That
so
is a
you
bold
know.
I am writing them down.
Write it down.
3
You're watching
touchdowns
me?
for Day-Day and I'm right. And just because
No,
you're
that's
blank.
a good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's
That,
a good. I give you
that
credit.
might be the
I give
first
you
bold
credit
prediction
where
we've
credit
ever
is
gotten
due.
right.
Give you
Maybe.
credit
I
where
don't know.
credit's
We
due.
usually lose them
My
between now and the next
bold
week. So we have
prediction
no idea.
Is you ready for this
Yeah.
one? This is a big bold one.
Yeah.
Big and bold. Liberty defense shuts them out. 0 points.
Oh. Okay.
For
Ooh,
your
that
UMASS.
that is
That's a bold,
bold.
prediction. And
All right.
it don't go with some weak little, maybe 65 yards.
No, I'm saying.
Give me bold
All
prediction.
right. I'm going Jonathan Bennett, 3 passing touchdowns, over 250 through the air.
3 for 250. That's
Yeah.
a good day. That's
all right.
bold.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
You're welcome.
listening or
Yeah.
watching. I want to just say thank you for that demonstration of the offensive
Can we get that a
line.
week? Can that be a weekly segment where
Yeah.
you kind of just
you
like,
set this place on. We'll do
yeah,
it.
that's good.
It's something.
Yeah, well, something.
We'll
That
bring
fired
in-
me up. I was
I
watching that
did.
film, boy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what, you get them big old butts
Yeah.
and they start moving folks and they're chipping and
Yeah.
they're to here and then they're over
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
to back and everybody's blocked up.
Yeah.
And then the running back shoots right
Yeah.
through it and touchdown. That's how you play football, baby.
Yeah.
Coach K, baby.
Everything you need here on the Flight Central
Yeah.
podcast powered by Alcova Mortgage. Thank you to Joe and Matt, and thank you for listening or watching. We'll see you right back here next week, I hope.